name is Wes Stevens. I live on 8350 Oak Hill Drive, out of police jurisdiction. I'm in the Boy Scouts of America, Troop 28. I'm here to support this splash pad because, out of the councilmen, raise your hand if you have any grandchildren or children. So y'all know that your children or grandchildren would like to go at least relax, especially after school or in the summer, because as you know, it's hot here in Semmes because we're down by the bay, and you can expect kids to not want to be cooped up in a building whenever it's hot outside. And I know that you want to get your children off of devices. And plus, security facts for the splash pad with the safe surroundings is exceptional. And plus, if we even had problems, we could have security cameras. And we have our sheriff's office, which could also help us. And granted, I know I'm at least a youth person, but I know that nobody would want to be not doing anything, especially on a nice summer day, and especially a beautiful day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments from Wes?
No, I wish I had been brave enough as a Boy Scout to stand in front of the city council and speak. It's pretty good.
I hope you get a new badge for that. It's very effective public speaking. Thank you.
Mr.
We
Webb?
can recommend it.
Ms. Franson? No comment. Ms. Stryer?
Thank you, very brave, and good job.
Next.
Shelley Stevens.
Good evening, council. Thank you for making yourselves available for tonight on such short notice. I just want to address a couple of things that have been touched on tonight. I believe all of you received my email over the weekend touching on the points of the economic reinvestment that would benefit. I do agree that if this is not the ideal location, that perhaps the council could consider an alternative location if they would agree to allow the council the funding to purchase or acquire additional properties, if that would be a happy compromise. I would like to address something that was mentioned very early on about it's not the city's government to entertain. If that's not the case, then why did our community invest so much money into and support into the Senior Citizen Center that is in Semmes? That is providing entertainment for an older population during the day, and I do feel that turnabout is fair play, that it is now time to provide an amenity to the younger generation. There's our generation that are parents, that are, like we said, having to leave this area to provide entertainment or something, an amenity to our children. We also provide movie nights at the park, so if we're not in the business to entertain our citizens, then why do we do that? You have a very good Parks and Recreations Committee, and from my understanding, they have done their due diligence in researching this proposal and making recommendations as part of this plan. I do not feel that our mayor would be pursuing a funding opportunity if the plan has not been thought out and researched and planned. I would also like to echo the sentiments that this is only a pre-application. It is merely an expression of interest. It is at any point in time I did read the grant this weekend, the grant application. And from my understanding, at any point, if this council got the actual application back and said, no, we cannot do this because it's requiring a means beyond what we are comfortable doing, then you have that decision to walk away from it. But the deadline tomorrow is merely an expression of interest. That costs you nothing, that commits you to nothing. So if you asked earlier why we are here tonight, we are asking you to merely give the mayor the opportunity to give an expression of interest and obtain the application. And at that point, then you can dive into the nuts and bolts and make sure the facts and figures and the I's and the T's are dotted and crossed. That is what I ask you to do tonight, is merely give the mayor the opportunity to express an interest on behalf of the city of Semmes. Thank you.
No, good comments. Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Well, appreciate your speech, and it was very effective. The problem is, that the way these things work, we are committed. The money is starting to flow, and it's on the skids, and the money is out the door before you know it. The problem here is that the price tag we've been given commits us to a project which will run, as I calculated here, $890 per child in the key splash pad range, 4 to 9 years old, 4 through 9 years old. There are other kids, in diapers that wind up in these things, and older kids too, but those are the key ages. And if you look at them, you see the toys, as they call them, are keyed toward the younger kids. Older kids tend to think it's childish and sort of walk away from it. So we're talking about $890 per child, and then we're talking about maybe only 1 in 8 of our children in our whole city will use it. So there's a problem here. There's a real problem. There's too much money sloshing around in the system, and when people start calling it free money, bad things attend. Things like this, where it gets put in a place where it is not safe, I will tell you it's not safe, and it's also far away from the people who use it. We could put splash pads in neighborhoods where the children could walk to it and spend half this money, well, less than half this money, and all the children could enjoy it every day, instead of making it a special trip where mom has to go out and stay with the children. So, too much money slushing around and too poor of a project. That's what our problem is here. But thank you for speaking.
Okay, Mr. Webb?
Remind us again why we're here, to approve this application from ADEXA, or approve the construction of a splash pad.
We are here tonight. The resolution, the title of the resolution is Authorization for the Mayor to make application to the Alabama Department of Economic and Community Affairs for a grant for the construction of a municipal park. All right,
Thank you.
okay, Ms. Franson?
Thank you, Mr. Webb, for clearing that up. I was wondering the same thing.
Certainly.
Mr. Shire?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Stevens. I do have a question. You have $890 per child, that the age of 4 to 9 years old. Where did your figures come from?
The 2013 U.S. Census for the city of Semmes, the city limits of Semmes, population of just over 3,000. 29.14% of which are children 18 and under the age of 18. And works out to have about 49 children in each level, each age level.
Okay. You said the 2013 U.S. Census for the city of Semmes?
Right there.
Are we showing up on the census website? Because the last census was done in 2010 before we were incorporated. That was the every 10-year census, and the last I looked, we had not shown up on there because we were not a city at the time that they did the 10-year census.
They had updated for the city itself, and it's separate from the zip code area. So it was for the city of Semmes.
Do you think that this splash pad is just going to be used by citizens in our city limits?
No, but that's the people who can vote for it. That's the people that, we're happy for other people to use it. That's fine. My concern is so few people will be able use it where it's located.
Well, I kind of look at it as, if we have people going from Semmes to Bayonet, we could have people coming from many areas to Semmes to use this. And, so, you said something about putting a splash pad, in neighborhoods.
Pocket parks,
Where? Which neighborhoods?
wherever you can get them where the children can come to it.
Well,
One over on Fire
what-
Tower Road that'd be a nice one for it.
What happens when you put it in one neighborhood and you don't put it in another neighborhood, and you're not fair and equitable with your splash pads? I think it's better if you have them in a more centralized place that everybody can come to. My opinion is that the city of Semmes is not walkable, bikeable. We don't have a lot of sidewalks. We don't really even have a lot of neighborhoods, I believe, in our city limits that have sidewalks. All the neighborhoods that have sidewalks are outside of our city limits. They're not in our city limits. I can't think of one neighborhood in our city limits that has a sidewalk. So, if you did that, it would have to be in our police jurisdiction. So, I would tend to think there's probably around 15 to 18,000 people in our police and fire jurisdiction, which is, I think, is pretty significant. Plus, everyone else that could come here and use it, there would be an economic impact to the city. Just, I think, Robin had spoke that they actually travel and spend the day and spend money. So, one other thing I'd like to ask of our council: how many have gone and visited splash pads, and where did you go to see splash pads?
Last one I went to see was in Nashville. I saw one in Nashville, and it was in a little tiny, well, like Mr. Smith described, it was in a little tiny rec area. Had a couple of jungle gyms, and it wasn't very big. It was a splash pad, and some things around it. Now, it didn't have restrooms, it didn't have all the other stuff, but it was just off the street, a couple of benches. It was nice. People were using it. I happened to be there during the summer. People do like splash pads. And that, let's see, other than that, oh, I also saw one, oddly enough. I was working in Japan, and the Japanese had a small splash pad. And it was in kind of a residential area like, you know where a HEPA, am I saying it right? A HEPA. It was in a place like a HEPA.
Like apartments?
Yeah,
or
with a
something?
splash pad, and it had a couple of jungle gyms, so they're a lot of fun. Kids love them. So that's the only two I can think of that I've actually observed, maybe more.
Mr. Smith?
Immediately after the mayor brought this up about 4 months ago, went down to Mobile, down a few minutes down the road, and checked on that nearby splash pad, which if you get in your car, just a few more minutes and you can go to that one. They're actually pretty close together. And it, you can see how it could serve a purpose, because it's in a densely populated neighborhood. And you can see where the children could run down the street, play in it, go back home. And at the time of the visit, there were no children using it, but in any case, you know, we went around. It has a restroom across the street from it there. It was not supervised. Anyway, looked that one over, checked it out, turned it on, see how it would spray and everything. And of course, we looked at a number of them on the internet to see what the variety is, what the prices are. So that's the extent of the investigation I've done on that.
Okay. So you went to the one in Mobile Terrace?
Yes.
Okay. Now, We have people from Semmes, that do not go there, so they go to Bay Minette, so, and I can understand. I don't know how many children live in that neighborhood, but, from what I had done, some investigation years ago when City of Mobile was annexing that area, it was mainly retired people that lived there, that I saw when I looked at the property tax records that were actually tax exempt, so, because of their age. But I don't think there's really a lot of kids that live in it, and I know that. Mr. Webb, I'm sorry, do you have anything else?
Yes, there's one over here off of Cody Road that I visited, and I went to look to see about what the size might be and the way it operated. They had water that comes from above and out of the concrete slab, and they have a recycling, water recycling system, a sand filtering system that they don't use. All the water that comes out is not coming out of the South Alabama utilities. We wouldn't have to pay for every bit of the water that was,
It's recycled.
but it's recycled, and it's approved by the health department, and of course I talked to the folks at City of Mobile and learned a lot about it, and I am not opposed to having a splash pad, but there's some folks that we can contact and get some good ideas out of, and I'm not opposed to that.
Okay, Ms. Franson?
Okay, I believe the question was, have I ever gone to a splash pad? I don't have children, but I do have nieces and nephews, and I have gone to those kind of things in different parts of the country when I've met my brother and his kids to do that sort of thing. So there's Disney World in various places in Florida, and there's even places in the West. But I would like to apologize to everybody here for the statement being made that there's a splash pad in Mobile Terrace, so y'all can go there. No, y'all are citizens of Semmes, and your tax dollars should be spent for your children here in Semmes, and not kick you out of our community to go utilize a splash pad in a neighborhood that is, to me, in this day and age, sketchy. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Shirey?
Okay, I said there was a couple in Mobile, not just Mobile Terrace. There's another one that is in the same neighborhood. I wouldn't let my grandkids go to Mobile Terrace. I'm sorry. That was not the one I meant. I'm not opposed to the splash pad. I would like to see it in a different location. I think, and I know we own some property over off Snow Road. It may not be in the city limits, but it belongs to the city. And it's what, about 2 acres, and it's kind of level, is it not?
Pretty much. Mm-hmm.
I personally would rather see it there than down by Fire Station 3. That's my personal opinion.
Good idea.
I think it's a better area, but that's
Okay.
just my opinion.
All right, any more public comments?
Tony Ebright.
Mr. Ebright?